Chapter 12. Corey's face filled with surprise and then anger. That's not funny, Lisa. Why'd you pull me away from the meat to tell me such stupid? He started to go back, but she shoved him back against the wall. Ouch! His shoulders throbbed with pain. Oh, sorry. Just let me finish. It isn't a joke. It was a terrible tragedy, my cousin's friend said. There were rumors about Anna Corwin all over her school. No one was sure really what happened. The story was that Anna had fallen down the basement stairs in her house. She died instantly in the fall. But that's impossible, Corey said weakly. He thought of their kiss the night before. He felt Anna's lips pressing so hard against his. Totally impossible. My cousin's friend swore that it was true, Lisa told him. It happened over the summer vacation, and people were still talking about it in the fall. No way, Corey said, bending over to retrieve the towel. I don't believe it. I just don't. There's an easy way to prove it, Lisa said. Get dressed. Let's go do some investigating. Are you kidding? In the middle of the meet? He glanced nervously over to the coach. Coach Warner was unhappily engrossed in Arnie's bar routine. You're finished anyway, aren't you? Lisa asked impatiently. Yeah, in more ways than one, Corey said glumly, suddenly remembering the pathetic performance he had just given. But if Coach catches me ducking out in the middle, he changed his mind. He knew he had no choice. He had to find out the truth about Anna right away. Okay, meet you in the parking lot, he said. Making sure that Coach Warner was still watching Artie's performance on the bar, Corey slipped out of the door and into the locker room, where he changed into his street clothes as quickly as he could. This story about Anna couldn't be true. She couldn't be dead. She couldn't. That wasn't a ghost he had kissed. Was it? He suddenly remembered the frightened look on her face the first time he had ever talked to her, when he had mentioned ghosts on Fear Street. No, get real. There was no such thing as ghosts. The girl who had kissed him with such heart, such heat, such feeling, had to be alive. A few minutes later, he had sneaked out of the building and was with Lisa in her car, heading toward the Shadyside Public Library. A light snow had fallen during the afternoon, covering the trees, making them look ghost-like in the gray light of the evening. Was it the library? He asked her, breaking a long silence. The microfilm room. They have all the local papers from all over the state on microfilm there. I used this room I want to do research for the articles I write for the Spectator. They rode the rest of the way in silence. At the library, Lisa asked for Melrose newspapers from the 4 and 5 months before. Here, she said, handing Corey a spool of microfilm. You take a viewer, and I'll take a viewer. It'll go much faster this way. About 20 minutes later, she found what they were looking for. It was a newspaper article from the previous spring. Corey stared at the black type of the headline through the viewer. Anna Corwin, Melrose, sophomore, dies in accident. The words to the story all blurred in Corey's eyes. But there was a photograph that he couldn't stop staring at. The photo was very unclear. The reproduction was too light, all in grays, as if the girl had been a ghost to begin with. It's Anna, he thought. Those eyes. The blonde hair. It's Anna. He squinted into the machine, trying to make the gray photo clearer. But how... I mean, how can you explain this? He managed to say, still staring into the viewer, his thoughts swirling crazily through his mind. Thoughts of Anna, of talking to her, of touching her. I can't explain it, Lisa said softly. I don't know what to say. He stared at the gray photograph and then back at the bold headline. The question repeated endlessly in his mind. How could Anna Corwin be dead? How could Anna Corwin be dead? He felt her lips again, and pressing so hard against his, pressing harder, harder until his lips bled. How could Anna Corwin be dead? That night, Corey was too restless to do anything. He tried catching up on some of his homework, but he couldn't concentrate. At 8:30, he sneaked out of the house and drove around town for a while. There were small patches of white along the sides of the roads and dotting the lawns, remnants of the light snowfall earlier in the day. He drove around aimlessly, making the same circle through North Hills, down past the Sky School, across Canyon Road, and then back up again. But he knew all along where he would end up, on Fear Street. He parked at the curb in front of the Corwin's yard and stared up at the rambling house. The sky above it was red, casting down an eerie light that made the old house look unreal, like the set of a horror movie. The inside of the house was completely dark as usual. A shutter on the side banged noisily in the wind. A dim light went on in the upstairs window. Corey stared at it, unable to see anyone moving inside, and in a minute or so, the light flickered out. He heard a noise behind him, a loud bark. In the rearview mirror, he saw the large black Doberman bearing down the car, galloping like a horse across the dark street. The neighbor in the gray slicker was close behind. There he is again, Corey thought. Do he and the dog prowl Fear Street all night? Are they ghosts too? The ghostly guards, he thought. They've been assigned to keep people from discovering the truth about Fear Street, from discovering that everyone who lives on Fear Street is dead. He shook his head hard, trying to shake away the ridiculous thoughts. Then he frantically started the engine and pressed his foot all the way down the gas pedal. In the rearview mirror, he could see the man and the dog pull up short, startled by his fast getaway. He drove straight home and hurried up to bed. He fell asleep quickly and dreamed about gymnastics meet. He was up on the rings and realized he didn't know how to get down. Everyone was staring at him, waiting for him to move, but he just couldn't remember how to do it. He was awakened by someone touching his face. He sat up in bed, grateful that the dream was interrupted. The hand slid down his cheek again. He blinked himself awake. Anna! She was on his bed. She sat beside him, her blue eyes staring down into his. What are you doing in here? How did you get in? He asked. His voice, a hoarse whisper, still filled with sleep. Take care of me, Corey. Please, she pleaded, looking frightened and forlorn. She touched his cheek again. She brushed her lips against his forehead. Anna. She pressed her face against his. He couldn't believe this was happening. She was alone with him, in his bedroom. He wanted another kiss. He desperately wanted another kiss like the one in the car. Anna. He reached up for her. He wanted to pour down on top of him. She smiled at him. Her soft hair brushed over his face. Anna, why did your family say you were dead? She didn't seem at all surprised or upset by the question. I am dead, she whispered in his ear. I am dead, Corey, but you can still take care of me. What do you mean? He suddenly felt very frightened. She looked very ghostly now, pale and transparent. Her eyes burned into his. They weren't friendly eyes. They were menacing eyes. Evil eyes. What do you mean? He repeated, unable to keep the fear from his voice. You can die too, she whispered. Then we can be together. No, he cried, pushing her away. No, I don't want to. The phone was ringing. He sat up and looked around. No Anna. It had been a dream. It had all been a dream, but it had seemed so real. The phone was real. He looked at his desk clock. It was a little after midnight. He grabbed up the receiver. Hello, Corey? A whispered voice. Anna's voice. Hi, Anna, he whispered back. Corey, come quickly, please. You've got to come. Please, but don't park by my house. I'll meet you in front of the burned out old mansion. Hurry, Corey. You're the only one I can turn to.